Hi, I'm Larry with Lovewink Products. Thank you for buying a Ruff ramp. I'm going to show you just how to assemble a Ruff ramp so that you can get the most enjoyment out of using the Ruff ramp with your pet. Let's get at it. Depending on how many stairs your dog needs to traverse, you may receive several of these plank sections to be assembled. This is a one-stair plank section. This is a two-stair plank section. You're also going to receive a hardware package that contains the hardware you'll need to assemble your package. Now, you might have boards that are not painted. I have pre-painted these boards. If your boards are not painted, you want to paint them before you assemble them. This particular hardware package has two styles of end mounting bracket. This style and this style. Your hardware package will not have two styles. For today's demonstration, we're going to use this style of end mounting bracket. However, you can see it's essentially the same, just a little smaller. In addition, we're building a ramp for a two plank section or a staircase. We will not be using the one stair plank section. We will only be using the two stair plank section, but we'll be assembling two of them. I will assemble one plank section, and you will repeat that process for the second plank section, which won't be in the video, and then we'll assemble the Ruff ramp. Driver, Phillips head would be necessary, either a mallet or a hammer. You don't need both, and it obviously is just to tap with in either case, so it doesn't have to be a large, robust hammer. A simple pliers of any kind, and an adjustable jaw wrench. If, however, you have more than those tools available, if you have, for example, a drill with a drive on it to drive screws, or a ratcheting wrench with different socket sizes, this will make assembling a Ruff ramp a lot easier. You're going to start assembly with a plank section for a two-stair Ruff ramp. This is for a medium-sized dog because of the width. A larger dog is going to have a third plank section to it, and longer cleats, of course. The first thing we're going to do is put these pins in, but you need to determine which end the pins go into. There are holes drilled in both ends of the plank section. If your alignment pin goes into the hole without any help, like that, you have the wrong end. What you want to make sure is you have the end where the alignment pin resists going in. So, what you do is you take your mallet or your hammer and you tap your alignment pins into the holes. That's the first thing you do, and the plank section is ready. I'm going to show you how to assemble a guide rail. The guide rail consists of 4 vertical posts and 4 horizontal boards. We're going to start with just one vertical board and one horizontal board. The difference between these two horizontal boards is the width, and we're going to start with the wider board, and you'll see why that's important in a little bit. We are going to use a screwdriver and a wrench, and we've got some number 8 bolts with washers and nylon nuts to hold it all together. So we can begin assembling a guide rail. We use the 2 vertical parts and 1 horizontal part, the wide one, and you'll notice that the the vertical part has 2 holes in it. We pre-drill holes for your convenience. We want to make sure that this hole that's closest to the edge is positioned furthest away from this board, and that this hole and this hole line up with the bumper underneath the horizontal part. We then take a number 8 bolt and a washer, put that on, and we put the number 8 bolt through the horizontal member. We then grab another washer and I'll try and angle this so you can see it, and we push that through so it's sticking out right there. Now we maintain perpendicularity of the 2 boards. We put this washer on, followed by a nut. It's a nylon nut. Hold the nut with our pliers, take our screwdriver from this side and tighten the screw down. Now we repeat the same process on this end. Since we flip it over, we are going to want to put the board in this way, okay? I'm just going to put this screw through the painted through hole, and same with this board. You may have to do this just to make it easier to assemble in advance, okay? And then we'll take a washer, put the washer onto the bolt. Now this time, since we flipped it over, this is going to go up through there we go, and this one there we go. So now we've assembled the first part of the guide rail. We have the lower horizontal member mounted to the vertical post, and we're going to mount the top rail onto the top of the post, but you'll notice it's positioned underneath it. So the wider member is up, then there's the vertical post, then the top member of the guide rail is underneath. And it's exactly the same process as okay. And we have a finished guide rail, one side of the plank section. You'll need to repeat this for the other. Now we have built out 4 guardrails, 2 for each plank section. Now is how to assemble a joist system to support the modular plank sections of the ramp. This is more joist section that we're going to need. We would only need 1 member for our 2 plank system for 4 stairs. However, You can use 2 members for longer situations, like if you had 5 stairs. And you can mount them in a way where they have holes that will line up with one another. For extra heavy dogs, we mount them with the 3 holes for 2 members. Or if it's just a normal situation, you can mount them like this for with two members. We put a through bolt through both members, and we'll grab a hammer. Now, here's where you can either use the adjustable jaw or the socket wrench. The adjustable jaw just goes on there like this, and you go round and round and round. Or like that. Our plank section with the pins that we knocked in on the right side here, and we have 1 member of our support joist system, which that's all we need for a 2 plank system. I've got the shoe here, so I'm going to use the shoe as an aid, and we're going to start by fastening the plank section to the support joist with these screws. So I've got my screwdriver here, and I'm going to place the ramp section about halfway. See, just it doesn't have to be perfect, it's about halfway over the joist system. So this will provide its structural support while your pet is using it. Now, I want to make sure it's straight. So you'll see we've pre-drilled a bunch of holes here in both ends of this plank section so that you can put it together any way you want. The holes will be there for you. I'm going to stick the screw in this pre-drilled hole till it kind of comes out. And then I'm going to look under here and line it with about the center of the board. And then I check this hole here to make sure that it's in the center. And now I know that that row of screws is going to be in the center. I've got my screwdriver here, and I can press down and start that screw into the joist. Now, this will take a while to do by hand. This is where, if you have a drill, your job will become much easier. Okay? So when I put the drill on here, it's screwed in much easier. Now, I can take another screw and come over to the front hole and put it in. And that's all there is to it. So now we have a second plank section, and this is where, you know, if you have a longer ramp, you might have to put this on the ground rather than on the table, or you might need a buddy to help you assemble this. But it can be done, as you'll see, individually. We put this on top of the same joist section as the other, and now the alignment pins come into play, and we just start squeezing it together. Now, you might need your mallet to tap it in. Until this is nice and tight. Once it's nice and tight, you can repeat with the screws into the joist. Now, you'll notice there's holes without screws. We really don't need to do anything with those because we only have a single member back here. So those holes would not be in any member. But if we had another member here to make a longer plank, then there'd be another row for screws for you. So these pre-drilled holes have our ramp upside down still. It's now aligned, and the support joist is in place, which is what you want. So the next thing we do is we put on the end mounting brackets. We have two different styles here. I'm going to demonstrate both styles. You may have two of the same styles or not, but you'll know how to do either style regardless of what you have. I'm going to put this end on the top stair. Okay, and the top stair has to be, the bend has to be up. So when we flip it over, it's sitting with the bracket there. Okay, we've got pre-drilled holes from the factory that you can align your bracket with. And then it's just a matter of putting some screws in. Again, you could use the drill, but it's just as easy to just turn the screws because of the pre-drilled holes. And then we got to do the same thing on this side, and I don't have my screws, they're behind you. But this time the bracket is pointing down, not up, but down. And this hole, very important, must be off of the ramp. These are stainless steel screws. Now we're going to put the side rail, the guide rail, on one side of the plank section. And you can see there's guide holes in the boards and in the receiving plank section to accept the bolts that hold this in place. However, what we can also do is, if you have a non-sided dog, is flip this around and build it out for a non-sided dog. So in this configuration, this board is in tight here. There'll be another one in tight here, and the dog uses his tactile sensation to guide him up the ramp. Now, we don't want to have these screws sticking out against the dog, so we take the screws out and turn them around and stick them in with the nice smooth round head on the inside. This long member can also come inside too, especially if it's a smaller dog, and that'll help keep his feet on the plank section. But we're going to assume you have a sighted dog, and so we're going to turn around this way, and we have some 1/4-20 lag bolts and washers for each one of these holes. And so we go through the pre-drilled hole, and into and this is where this tool becomes very useful. You can do that, or you can do this. Okay, we repeat that process on the other end. So the Ruff ramp is fully assembled. It just needs to be installed onto the staircase. This would be a good time to get a buddy to help carry it. It's not extremely heavy, but it's not light either. You'll see, you can lift it and carry it over one person. Now the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to leverage this top stair to put the Ruff ramp in place. Okay, so now it's on its side. This is the shoe, and the shoe is a protective piece of wood that attaches to the end mounting bracket. So now I'm just going to kind of pick it up and roll it onto the shoe, right where we want the Ruff ramp to go. Okay, now we have 2 lawn spikes. Attaching the end mount to the shoe. Shoe protects the concrete from the metal. If you had a deck, you wouldn't need the shoe. You would put screws right into the deck. The top would be anchored. If you don't care about your concrete, you can use a hammer drill and a cement bit and drill a little pilot hole, put either a concrete bit in like a Tapcon, or you can put a little plastic shoulder insert into the concrete and screw into the plastic to get a permanent Your Ruff ramp is now built, and your dog and you can enjoy many years of service with it. Thank you.